Hello, hello! I'm talking today about the pious queen, St. Margaret. She was born circa 1045 in Hungary, a daughter of the English exile, Edward Atheling, and a granddaughter of the vanquished English king, Edmund II. In 1057, Margaret's father was recalled to England as a potential heir to the throne. But, regrettably, he died almost immediately upon arrival, leaving his widow Agatha and their 3 children to the mercy of the English court. At this point, Margaret's only brother Edgar was considered a candidate for the throne himself, but he was young and inexperienced, and in 1066 the Witan passed him over in favor of Harold II. Well, that king infamously perished at Hastings in October that year while resisting the Norman invasion. From the safety of London, then, Edgar was briefly touted as England's new king. Of course, he was never officially crowned. Duke William of Normandy was determined to make England his own, and by the end of November 1066, he had done just that. Edgar Atheling was forced to surrender, thus he and his family became prisoners of the Norman court. In 1068, Margaret and her family were either released or maybe escaped, and they quickly fled north. It's uncertain if they intended to flee to Alba, or Scotland as we call it now. Perhaps it was a fateful shipwreck which landed them on the northern shores of Britain. But in either case, they soon sought the refuge of the mighty King Malcolm III of Alba. According to one account, this was the moment when Margaret laid eyes on the Scottish king for the first time, and it was mutual love at first sight. In fact, they may have met some 9 years earlier at the English court, but it was their meeting in 1068 which sealed the deal. King Malcolm took Margaret to be his wife in 1070. As Queen of Alba, Margaret took a personal interest in the spiritual care of her people. With help from Archbishop Lanfranc of Canterbury, she brought her continental style of Catholicism to the otherwise outdated Scottish churches, a policy with mixed results, but surely done with good intentions. She endowed numerous abbeys and churches, and she even restored the very special but derelict Abbey of Iona at her own expense. In 1072, she invited Benedictine monks to found a new monastery at Dunfermline, and perhaps most memorably, she established the ferry crossing at Queensferry, named in her honor, in order to ease the journeys of passing pilgrims. Queen Margaret was known to practice what she preached. Consistently noted as pure and noble in character, she was noted for making frequent prayer and even for stooping to wash the feet of the poor. She also interceded on behalf of English exiles displaced since the Norman conquest by paying their ransoms and lobbying for their freedom. Her pious nature was said to have a calming and civilizing effect on her otherwise brutish and warlike husband, to whom she often read passages from the Bible. By all accounts, the pair was deeply in love. They had 8 children together, 4 of whom went on to reign after their father in Alba, and one who married a son of William the Conqueror and thus became Queen of England. Sadly, while making a raid on northern England in November 1093, King Malcolm was killed near Alnwick by Earl Robert de Mowbray of Northumbria. Malcolm's and Margaret's eldest son, Edward, was grievously wounded in the same encounter, and he too died just 2 days later at Jedburgh. When she heard the news, Queen Margaret was devastated. She perished from utter grief on 16 November 1093 and was buried at Dunfermline. Around 1100, her eldest daughter, Edith, commissioned a biography to honor her mother's memory. It was written by Margaret's sometime advisor, Prior Turgot of Durham, and is a primary source of these events. In 1250, Margaret was honored even further when the Catholic Church officially canonized her. That's the life of St. Margaret. Thank you so much for watching.